Welcome to episode number 3 of Rumble and the Gazoo, and we're talking from the cheap seats, baby.
The nosebleeders, buddy. The nosebleeders.
That's right. We're talking from the cheap seats, as I put over. We're the, if you want to call us armchair GMs, super fans, call it as you may. But what you gonna do when Rumble and the Gazoo talk sports better than you?
Brother. What's up, brother? It is officially May 20th at the night of this recording. We are live, but other people can watch this after the fact. We'll talk about that after. It is May 20th. A lot has happened since last Wednesday when we recorded our last episode. Some things have come true that we discussed, and we might as well dive right into it. Might as well start with the team in green, buddy. You're wearing this shirt.
The Boston Celtics, baby. As everybody's seen, they came out game 1 against Miami of the Eastern Conference Finals. They may have lost by 8, but they were up. They played 3 better quarters, and without having the defensive player of the year, love him or hate him, for some of the boneheaded offensive plays that at times Marcus Smart will do. But Marcus Smart, and I go on record of saying this many times, he is the Draymond Green of the Boston Celtics. Draymond Green may not. Draymond Green may not put up the biggest of numbers, but he dictates. He's the guy out there that just makes the flow go. Marcus Smart, as you can see, game 2, Marcus Smart, and finally Big Al comes back, rejuvenated, probably took another dip in the Fountain of Youth swimming pool. And you know what the funny thing is athletes, people who talk shit about athletes. Big Al had 2 days off. People were talking like it was like 10 days that he had off before getting into game 2 and thought his wind was going to be something. Whereas I'm going to be honest with you, at times, we come from a world of the work, and I kind of think that the Al Horford thing was a work. I think that they're not ready to, he's one of the ones that's not vaccinated. I do know that. Him and Jaylen Brown.
I think with Horford, that could have played a role. The other thing is he is 35 years old. He is the oldest player on the team. Also, it's, I think partly makes me wonder, do the Celtics believe that no matter how many games Horford, if they lose a game, that they're still going to win the series? And they said, all right, screw it. We'll lose game 1. If we lose, we lose. It's only 1 game. Fact is, if that is the case, and that was their train of thought, and neither you or I know that. This is more of a, that's a hypothetical way of thinking, but it is a way of thinking that a team can go out and say, we still have 6 more games to beat them in 4, and they feel that they're strong enough to beat them in 4.
Yeah.
And game 2 was an absolute demonstration of that kind of mentality. If it was, because the Heat had no answers, and then they lost. Who they lose? They lose PJ Stock.
Yes.
Or whatever his name is, PJ Stalker, or whatever the hell his name is, Stacker.
Yeah.
They lost one of their better players. I know Kyle Lowry wasn't playing, but still, I just everybody that I've listened to, articles I've read, people I've talked to that are more basketball. I am no basketball, avocado aficionado, whatever the word is. You know what I'm talking about. Basketball is never my thing, but everyone I've ever talked to, everything I've listened to, everything I've read has said the Celtics are the best of the 4 teams left on the court. The Celtics are the best basketball team out there. And everybody's saying they should not lose to the Heat in this series.
No, they shouldn't. And the thing of it is this way, I mean, you coach youth sports.
Yep.
So one of the things, if you was a coach and say you were going hypothetically into a 7-game series, and there is a such thing as home court advantage, okay?
Exactly.
And my mentality as a coach, obviously, we want to win them all. That's never a question. But you know as well as I do, coaches are going to say if we can score a victory on their home court,
You take home court advantage.
we take home court advantage.
Yeah, and the Celtics have done that.
Exactly. It's now a best of 5 series. The advantage goes to Boston.
It's a best of 5 with 3 games in Boston. Exactly.
Exactly.
I'm going to give you a prediction. Celtics are going to win the next 2 games at home. They're going to lose to Miami. They'll lose in Miami, and they'll win back at home in Game 6. And they're going to win this series in 6, which is what a lot of people predicted. And then I think it's the Celtics, and I think it's the Golden State Warriors. I think Golden State's going to beat Dallas. And now that will be a hell of a series.
Yes. 2
But the
3-point
Celtics
shooting
have
clubs.
Right.
Yep. I think it's going to be an awesome matchup to see Wiggins and Jaylen Brown. I think it's going to be a great matchup to see Draymond having to go against Jason Tatum. I think that's going to be beautiful. And Marcus is going to be locked up one-on-one on Curry.
Yep. And I think it'll just be a good series overall.
Yeah.
I think the Celtics have a better chance against the Mavericks than they do against. I think the Celtics overall just have a better chance against the Mavericks than they do against Golden State. But I still think the Celtics, if they get there, they're probably the favorite to win it.
Yes. Imagine like September of 2021, when basically all the seasons sort of collaborate. Yep. You figure it's wrapping up with baseball. You're beginning the football season. You're getting right into the beginning of hockey and basketball.
Yep.
And the huge talk on the Boston sports scene, obviously, is out of the teams, who's going to be the team that's going to capture something in first? Who would be that team to go to it? And obviously, at that time, the Red Sox were the hot team. And you'd be a dummy not to say, well, shit, the Red Sox got 4 weeks left. and they're hot. I can see, and you know what I mean? And then imagine jumping to December and the way the Celtics sat, which was basically the 10th or 11th seed at that time.
Yeah.
And the comeback.
October is the only month that usually it's the only month we'll have all 4 sports at once, all 4 major sports. But yes, it's crazy to think that. And then you look at how the season started for the Celtics.
That's what I mean.
January, it was a disaster. And then it was, talk about a complete 180. That is 100 in mid-season 180. You went from being the second to last team in the East to being number 1 in your conference and number 2 in the East and being the best team in basketball.
Yes.
It wasn't like they made any crazy trades or crazy moves either. So I don't know.
That's the funny part is they realistically they got rid of the French guy there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm having a mind fart with his name, but he was the colored dude, and with the French name, he's from France, and to pick up Derek White, White is starting to grow on me.
Yep, and he'll be back in the next game. I think the word has that they think he was with his partner, but they're having their first baby or something. I don't know.
I listened to a couple of different sports broadcasts that day, and that was a correct information that he was the wife was expecting the first newborn, which is cool. But you think nowadays, right?
But he's a
Boston to Miami. If the wife is having the baby around 8 a.m.,
yeah.
no reason why he couldn't have been chauffeured into Boston's Logan Airport.
But you know what?
Off on a plane.
You know what? No offense, but he's not Jason Tatum.
No. That's where I'll get it. Derek White and
he's a role player.
They were up 31 points, man.
Yeah, and Derek White's a role player. He's a 6th or a 7th man swing player is what he is, but he's a good one at that.
And look, it gave the chance for Peyton Pritchard to step up last night.
Yeah, a lot of talk going on with Peyton Pritchard and the other kid there from Miami. I guess they've been a lot of verbal jabbing.
Yes,
Tyler, whatever his name is.
yes, Tyler.
You know what I'm
Oh,
talking about.
yeah, I know who you're talking about. Tyler. Oh man, I just had the name on the tip of my tongue. Tyler Hero.
Yeah, Tyler Harrow. Yeah. So,
Yeah, Tyler Hero.
Peyton Pritchard, next White Hope.
Well, I said at the beginning, it's screwy how I don't remember his name, but I said that Peyton Pritchard would become 2022's Tyler Hero, where
Yeah,
Tyler Hero became a household name in the during the pandemic.
You're right.
He was
So-
virtually a great college player, and honestly didn't find his true niche in the NBA until the pandemic,
You're right.
being
You are
locked
100%
indoors.
So, all right. Well, prediction. So we're gonna have to move out because we got a big topic to talk about in the NFL and our New England Patriots schedule's out. So give me a prediction. Are we going to a parade in another month?
Oh yes,
You think the
yeah,
Celtics got it? Okay.
yeah.
I am as I've said what I said. I feel that they'll have a tough time, but I feel strong enough that I agree. I think they are the best team, barring any injuries.
Yes, that's right.
They're the team to beat, and it's going to be their championship to lose.
I look at it this way. I think it's the only team in the next 2 to 3 years, even if it's not this year, that Boston has a hope on winning a championship.
I'll disagree with you later because I still have my belief in another Boston team. But when we get to that, we'll talk.
Hey,
But
like I said, I'm a lover.
let's jump right into the New England Patriots right here. The Patriots. Let's jump into their schedule. I have it right here. So I'm gonna list down the schedule, and then let's talk about some key games. Opening against the Miami Dolphins on September 11th. What a date! Never forget. Always never forget September 11th. Then we have the Steelers at the Dolphins, at the Steelers. Start with 2 home away games. Right? Then you got at home opener against the Ravens. Then you're at the Packers, back home against the lonely Detroit Lions.
That's week 5 against the Lions, correct?
That is week 5 against the Lions. Then you got at the Browns. A lot of away games to start the season, if you've noticed.
Yeah, they talked about that on Zoe and Beetle.
Back home against Chicago Bears, then at the Jets, back home against the Colts, home against the Jets, at the Vikings. Then they don't play the Buffalo Bills until December 1st. First game of the season against the Buffalo Bills is more than half the season.
All right.
Right?
Let's just rewind. Let's go week through week real quick. All right.
Then we'll go through it. Then you got at the Cardinals, at the Las Vegas Raiders, home against the Bengals, home against the Dolphins, at Buffalo to end the season. Okay, so as you can see, we have a 17-game schedule. The odd duck in the 17-game schedule, the flex game there, is the Cardinals game. We're playing the NFC North and the AFC North as well. So let's talk about some key games.
Let's do it. All right. Let's talk week 1. Let's just go week to week, and I'll go right through it.
At the Dolphins.
What time's the game at?
It is a 1 p.m. game in Miami. I have no faith in Miami. I think the Patriots will shock and win the game.
I think the Patriots, and I think who is it? Devontae Parker that we got from them.
Yes, he's gonna go off.
I think Devontae Parker goes off, and I think Mac Jones does the gritty right into his face, and the Patriots stomp the Dolphins by
Okay.
21 week 1 to set the tone.
Okay. Week 2 at the Steelers. Something tells me this is a game with the Patriots. They're going into Pittsburgh. Unless I see something different in the offensive coordinator position, I think the Steelers will beat the Patriots in week 2.
Okay. And if you're telling me this with Mitchell Trubisky as the quarterback, I want what you're smoking.
Okay. All right.
I see the Patriots going in to Pittsburgh, unless rumor has it that one Baker Mayfield
There may
could
be.
be
Yes, I
in
know
a
that.
Pittsburgh Steelers uniform.
There's
Just to make a quick rewind to week 1, even though I believe the Patriots are going to put up a 21-point blowout, I believe the defense is going to give up 24 points week 1.
So you think the Patriots are going to put up 40-something points in week 1?
I think the
That
Patriots,
offense?
yep, now
In Miami?
in Miami.
Buddy, can I have what you're smoking?
Yeah, I got two different things, and
I
I'm
can
telling
tell.
you.
Are you fucking like this, double fisting? Because, man, you
I'm
got
just
some
letting you
serious-
know. Listen, man, this is I believe the Patriots offense. I think year 2 of some of these guys, and along with, I just think that I think the Patriots are going to surprise some people on the offensive side who are not expecting it.
All right, so we agree on week 1, not the score though. Week 2, we're at odds. Week 3, home opener against the Baltimore Ravens.
I believe this is where the Patriots drop their first game of the year and go 2-1.
Okay, I am in agreement. I do not think the Patriots will win this game. I think they've shown in the past that I think Baltimore had a good draft. And I think you're going to see that draft come to life against the New England Patriots. And I am going to say Baltimore defeats the New England Patriots at home. And I think they start 1-2. So we go to week 4.
See, this is my whole thing. Right now, I believe that the offense has a better chance of being a more higher powered offense this year than the defense because of the loss of J.C. Jackson. I don't think Malcolm Butler, who's the Green Goblin? The Green Goblin is just a third or a fourth corner on any other team.
Now listen,
I don't think they made. That's what I mean. I don't believe that they got any faster at linebacker.
No.
So I need to know the defense. That's why I believe week 1 will be a shootout. And I believe against the Steelers, the only reason why I believe the Patriots will win is because they don't have a quarterback. Until you see a quarterback in there, like, I'm sorry, Mitchell Trubisky just don't cut it for me.
So I'm going to give you my assessment real quick before we move on. I think that the lack of a true offensive coordinator with a second-year quarterback and an offense that is already susceptible to a lot of holes and needing to grow drastically, that is going to be the biggest flaw of the New England Patriots in their new season. So with that said, week 4, Patriots at the Packers. It is a 4:30 game. And the Patriots will lose this game as well. Even without Devontae Adams, they are not going to be able to handle Aaron Rodgers. And I think the Patriots start their season 1-3.
I like Pelly's question right here, and I'm going to it.
Because
that's part of the forte.
Is Mac Jones a better quarterback than Tom Brady at this point in his career? Mac Jones reading a defense No, he is not better than Tom Brady was at reading a defense. Is his arm better than Tom Brady? Probably not. Not at this level. Tom Brady and I think his offensive awareness. No, I think overall Tom Brady, his second year he was surrounded by phenomenal coaches. He was surrounded by,
well, let's compare first year as starters. Let's not say second years.
Okay, first year as a starter, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl. I mean, granted, he didn't start till game week 4, but he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
In week 2, they went in the second year of his first full year as a starter. They went 9-7.
Yeah.
And then his third year, they won the Super Bowl again, and the fourth.
Yeah.
So sorry, Mac Jones, no, is not a better quarterback in his second year, going into his second year that Tom Brady was. Because Tom Brady going into his second year had a Super Bowl championship under his belt. Now, it was a team effort, obviously, but still. So, all right.
So, second part of his question, just answer it real quick. Can Belichick mold Jones into a similar player the way he molded Brady?
Nope, because Belichick didn't mold Brady. The offensive coordinators molded Brady. You got to remember who he had for offensive coordinators back then. He had the
Charlie Weiss.
Yeah, Charlie Weiss, but he also
Xander Bogaerts just went down. I'm sorry. I was watching the Red Sox live. There was a play made in shallow left field where Bogaerts, Verdugo, and almost Kiki Hernandez in a three-way crash. And Bogaerts is down.
All right, we'll get to it.
We'll get to that later when we get to the Red Sox. But
back to the Pats.
All right. Thank you, Adam Jack Pelly, for that awesome question. If anybody else out there that is live listening, and I know there's been 2 to 4 in the room, pop us a question. Let's get to the next game.
All right. So you didn't give me your answer. Who's winning?
Packers. All right. I need to see what Aaron Rodgers looks like the first 3
Tell
weeks
me right
with
now.
the new guys.
We're talking predictions right now.
I believe that this is where the Patriots go 2-2.
Okay.
So that would be a loss.
I think it's a loss. Okay.
Yeah.
Lions at the Patriots. That's a simple one. I'll take the Patriots.
I will take the Patriots also. Patriots get back on the winning side. 3-2 New England.
2-3 New England for me.
3-2 New England.
Patriots at the Browns. I'm going to take the Patriots.
Ooh.
The Browns are going to be an absolute shit show of a team, and I think that it's going to be proven. And I'll take the Patriots beating the Browns in Cleveland and Bill Belichick going like this to the Cleveland organization. I'm taking the Patriots. Yeah.
If Deshaun Watson is the quarterback, no matter what shit show that's going on in Cleveland with the people that they have on offense, I'm taking Cleveland. This is where the Patriots go back to 500, 3-3.
And this is where I think they get back to 500 just so the Patriots win. All right. Bears at the Patriots. That is a night game. One of the first prime time games. I am going to say New England Patriots will win their second home game of the season. Chicago Bears have nothing right now. I think they're a team that's in a rebuild, and I don't think Justin Fields is the quarterback everyone thinks he is yet, and therefore I will take the New England Patriots here.
If Justin Fields could play like, say, Lamar Jackson, that would be cool, but he's no Lamar Jackson. So yeah, I believe this is where the Patriots get back to 4-3 after Game 7.
All right.
In a tough, nail-biting situation.
Are you ready? Here comes a bold prediction by the Gazoo.
Okay.
Because the Gazoo is green, right? The original Gazoo was green. He loves that color green. Patriots are playing game green at New York. This is a 1:00 game, the day before Halloween. Also, and I believe the monsters are coming out. I think Game Green is going to beat the Patriots. As hard as it is for me to say it, in New York, and I believe the Patriots lose to the New York Jets. New York Jets had one of the best drafts they have had in years. And I think this year they're going to have the Patriots number at least in New York.
So what I want to do at this point, I am suggesting that when it comes time after preseason football, okay,
Go through
and
this
we see
again.
what every time is done, we're
Okay.
going to rewind this and we're going back and we're going to go pre and right at before the first game of the
Fair
season.
enough, brother.
Just to
Fair
see
enough.
how close we are.
What's your prediction right now?
I believe that you're absolutely right. I believe that the Jets overcome the New England Patriots with the pick six.
All right.
And it comes with, say the Patriots are driving and it's that 2-minute offense and Mac Jones makes a bad mistake that he doesn't have to make.
Yep.
And the Jets take advantage and pick six them.
Here's a prediction for you. I know that, not a prediction, but here's a thought. And I want, write this one down because we're going to talk about this one next week. So I want this to fester a little bit. If you were the New York Jets, would you trade for Baker Mayfield? Save it for next week, though. Next week. Think about it. Let's save that one for next week. Patriots, Colts at the Patriots. This is going to be another 1 o'clock game, and it's going to be another loss for the New England Patriots. Colts are a revamped team with Matt Ryan at quarterback, Jonathan Taylor still their running back, solid wide receiving core. I am going to predict Patriots lose this one as well.
I believe. Can I tell you something? Matt Ryan not only comes back to be comeback player of the year, but will be top. He'll be top 3 in MVP discussion come the end of the year.
Ooh, that's a bold one. All right. All right. We'll get back to that again. That's another good topic.
I'm a huge listen.
At the end of preseason,
Matty Ice. Okay.
Is he going to put
that
it on?
That name goes way back to his days in Boston College,
BC,
and
baby.
I'm a huge BC lover. Matty Ice, baby. I'm telling. Listen. Before we drafted Mac Jones last year, okay, I was one of the advocates for taking. I would have traded the draft choice for Matt. I would have traded the draft choice for Matt Ryan last year for the firm belief that quarterbacks don't get beat up; they get mentally beat up. And mentally, listen,
you're not the GM of the New England Patriots.
I think Matt Ryan could have done some good stuff here for 5 to 6 years.
5 to 6 years. He'll be lucky he plays 2. All right, listen, we're moving on. I can't believe what I'm hearing right now. The Gazoo is the antennas are going like this right now with you. You really got hitting that shit hard.
I like Matty. I like Matty Ice.
Simple one here, and I've already said it. Jets at the Patriots. Jets will get back. Patriots get back on the winning side of the ball, and they'll beat the Jets. You agree?
Yeah. They're splitting decisions this year, buddy.
Then we go to Patriots at the Vikings. Another primetime game. This game is in Minnesota. I'm not sold on Kirk Cousins. I'm not sold on Delvin Cook because he's injury prone. I'm going to go with a bold prediction. Again, we'll go through this again. I think the Patriots take that one in Minnesota.
I think this is where the Patriots start to play. If they're a real Patriots team, this is where they start to get hot and they turn it on. So, yes. I believe the Patriots I believe the Patriots
4 games.
I believe the Patriots put a firm stand, and yes, I believe the Patriots come out in a big way in that Sunday night special.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you because as of right now, the Patriots are going to go into what is probably their murderer's row of opponents, and we're gonna do a quick lightning here. You ready?
Yeah.
We can talk about this again, but I don't want to spend too much time on this because, again, we're going to go read through this. But Bills at the Patriots. Bills will beat the Patriots at New England. You agree or disagree?
Oh, they don't. There's no answer for Allen.
Okay.
I believe the Bills will have probably 0 to 1 loss by the time the Patriots
And I
face
want
off
to point
here.
out something. The Vikings game, the Bills game, the next game, and the game after that are all
Thursdays.
are all nighttime games. So here we go. You ready? And oh, one thing. That Patriots Vikings game, that's Thanksgiving night.
Yep.
Okay.
Indoors.
Patriots at the Cardinals. Patriots will lose that game. You
It's a
agree?
Sunday night game.
I believe so. You agree?
No,
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
believe
You got
this is where
Patriots winning.
I believe the Patriots are tuned in, and I believe the more that they stay out of the cold weather, the better it is for Mac Jones getting to know his whole offense and what's going on.
Okay. The game of the year for the Patriots. New England at Las Vegas. Patriots will lose that game. Hold on 1 second. I got to take a quick call. Be right back. 1 sec. I want you to talk about what your feelings on it were.
All right, mute yourself. So, anyways, since the Gazoo had a Gazoo,
I'm Gazabak.
he's Gazabak.
Okay, so quick. Raiders will beat the Patriots.
No, I
Get out.
believe the master Bill. No, I believe the master Bill Belichick pulls one by the seat of his pants and
Not happening.
upsets. I believe Darth Vader goes over on Luke
Just
Skywalker.
remember, Luke Skywalker beat Darth Vader and turned him, and that story ain't gonna change. You're nuts. Keep smoking your shit. Then you got the Patriots come home to play the Cincinnati Bengals, and again, the Patriots will lose.
This is home against the Bungies. And Joe Burrow?
Yep. If Joe Burrow is on the field, Patriots lose.
I believe the Bungles come back to earth and the Patriots beat the Bengals at home.
Right. Keep smoking. Then you have the Dolphins at the Patriots, and I think the Patriots will beat the Dolphins. Fair enough. At home in New England, Patriots beat the Dolphins. And the game that ends the season, and this one's an easy one, Patriots at Buffalo. The only way the Patriots win the game is if Buffalo has already clinched the division and clinched a position. They know where they're going to be in the playoffs, and they rest people. Other than that, the Patriots will lose. The Patriots will finish with a losing record, and it will be the end of the Bill Belichick era in New England.
Wow.
Bold prediction by the Gazoo, but it will be the end. The Patriots will have a losing season. They will, due to the fact that they mishandled the management of this team this year and mishandled the management of their prized pupil star future quarterback. And I'm telling you, they're not going to have a good season. And we're going to see the end of the Bill Belichick era in New England. Bill Belichick, bold prediction, will return to the New York Giants and finish his career.
Didn't the Giants just hire a coach this year?
I don't know. They'll probably suck again anyways.
Can I tell you something? The only place I see Bill Belichick going in New York is the Jets is the only team that has a coach that they can fire.
The New York Jets. He will never go
there. I know that. I understand that. It's like Patrice Bergeron going to the Canadians, but because he grew up a Quebec Nordiques fan.
Yeah, but still, he's a Boston Bruin.
I understand. Now, I think, shoosh. I believe the Patriots go 9-8, and they missed the playoffs. Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick get into basically a little riff. And I believe that settles the departure of Bill Belichick from the New England Patriots. I don't at this point believe that Belichick will go to New York. Uh, but wouldn't it be funny if he went to Miami?
Ain't going to Miami.
Just like I don't believe he's going to New York.
All right. Well, tell
But
you
I
what.
believe they're 9-8. I believe they missed the playoffs, and I believe Robert Kraft is a man of his word. That the Patriots, him not having the New England Patriots hosting playoff games and being playoff contenders and things of that nature, especially with all the refurbishments and things of that nature that he has done to the stadium, especially this year's new addition with this big, beautiful lighthouse and all this. I think Robert Kraft could be done with dealing with one build. I would love to see it.
Patriots either finish 6-11 or 7-10, and it is in the end.
Oh, I don't
It's
see
the
it that
end.
being that bad.
It's the end, my friend.
I see 9-8, 8-9. That's what I see. I don't see
right.
no fucking 6-11 team.
All
I'm just
Let's talk about. Let's move on. Talk about your red hot Red Sox. Whippity do. They've won what?
They've
Four
won
out of their
what?
last
They
seven?
went the road trip they went on. They went 3-2 on the road trip, and since they've come home, they
So they're
went
on one game
two.
over.
They won 2-3, and now they're about to go on and beat Seattle tonight.
Okay.
And that in the last 10, I believe, brings them to 6-4, which I said.
So it's only 2 games above 500 there. If you go 6-4, you're 2 games above 500.
And they're out of the cellar. It's 182 game marathon, and it's whatever it may be. It's whatever it may be. The Red Sox will still finish with 88 wins and will be a wild card team. They were never going to win the division.
Why?
Nothing like that. Because they don't have the pitching staff yet that's built to be hostile.
Their pitching staff is what's got them there where they are. Pitching staff is what's held them together.
And it's also, I count the bullpen as part of the pitching staff, which is the worst bullpen in fucking Major League Baseball.
And it's crazy to think, right? If you think about it, Jay, no one would have thought it, but they do have one of the better starting rotations number-wise.
They have the third best starting rotation in Major League Baseball.
But they have the worst bullpen.
Exactly.
And that's fucking. And once again, goes back to it's not the players, it's management.
So
and it's John Henry.
I don't know now, but like Story's on a hot streak. He hit a grand slam tonight. The other night he had 4 home fucking home. Yeah. So like this is a guy that, hear me out.
Yep.
At the beginning of the week, the Red Sox were the only team, and this is Monday, a stat that came up. They were the only team in Major League Baseball that had 3 guys hitting over 300 and in slugging percentage or OBP that was 800 or 800 or better. And at that time it was Bogarts, Devers, and Martinez. The lineup's starting to come alive. And in my honest opinion, you don't got to worry about the catcher and the infield. The infield is going to be a great hitting infield and a great fielding infield by the time it's all said and done. I believe the outfield by July needs to have relevant freaking outfielders out there that can at least hit their fucking weight. Okay, that I'm in agreement. You can't have 3 guys in your lineup hitting 189, 202, and 316, 216. You just can't have that.
So what
But
you're
you could
telling me
have
is they got one guy hitting under the Mendoza line, one guy at the Mendoza line, and one guy just above the Mendoza line.
basically right now, yeah. If you look at Verdugo, Kiki, and
That's incredible.
JBJ, which has been the starting rotation, even throwing Franchi Cordero in there, who's hitting 222, is not an improvement.
No. Well,
If anything, why not take the chance? And if anything, I'm gonna let a guy like Jared Durant go out there and sink a swim. So
didn't you
that
have a
way,
guy named Andrew Benintendi who hit 250, 270, and you let him go,
yep,
right?
because that's Verdugo was supposed to be that guy with him being right-handed. Verdugo was supposed to be basically that guy with the better hitting average. Verdugo last year, he grew on me. I thought he was. I loved him, but he's one of the ones right now that it. I hope he gets on track. The last I looked, he was batting at the beginning of the week. He was batting 203.
All right, so I want to pose something to you because I do agree the Red Sox have gotten hot the last 2 weeks. I do. I have seen
The
them come
last
alive.
week, last 10 days since we talked.
I give it 2 weeks, but you're right, 10 days. So a lot has been discussed in media, local media especially, about the potential of trading Xander Bogaerts this year. One of the team most talked about is St. Louis. And then talk came out this week that Xander said ultimately kind of led to believe that he wants to stay, that he wants to be the Derek Jeter. And you said this last week, his favorite player was Derek Jeter, but he wants to be the Derek Jeter of the Boston Red Sox. And that he'd be willing to stay, that it's not all about money. And then his agent, Scott Boras, came out and said that there'll be no discussions until the end of the year. And he looks forward to discussing with the Red Sox in other major league teams. If you're the Boston Red Sox, and if you listen to sports media, people will tell you that they feel that the Red Sox are dicking Xander Bogaerts around because they don't want him. They're not going to keep him. They're not going to invest into him long term. I disagree. I think it's a bad move. I think you sign him now. You get this kid locked up. You make this kid your Derek Jeter. I love Bogaerts, not just because I'm a homer. I told you before, I think he's one of the top 3 shortstops. And, maybe defensively, no, but I think overall, including hitting, including on base percentage, clutch hitting, top 3 shortstop in the league. I think it would be a travesty to trade him. But do you think the Red Sox are going to, given how they're kind of treating him now? And if so, do you think he's going to the Cardinals?
All right. I think the treatment is self-imposed by the media itself to make us think that. And I really believe that Bogaerts wants to be here. I think it would be horrible that in the past 4 years that you would let two homegrown, hear me out, you would let two homegrown guys such as Betts and the potential of
3
Mookie, of Betts,
Benintendi and Bogaerts.
Yeah,
that's 3.
And Bogaerts,
the 3 Bs, the
Yep.
BBB.
And I think Bogaerts, out of any of them, Bogaerts is right now, in my estimation, and I'm going on 50, and I recall baseball ever since the days of Denny Doyle playing second base for the Red Sox, which is 1976-77. I've watched Fred Lynn, I've watched Dewey Evans, I've watched Jim Ed Rice, I've watched Rick Burleson at shortstop, I've watched
Spike Owen, Noma
Spike Owen, I've watched Noma, I watched
Edgar Renteria.
And then who's the dude number 44 that we had at shortstop the year we traded?
Orlando Cabrera.
Yes. and he had a sweet glove. But I'm telling you now, and I've said this not just because he wears number 2,
Yep.
but Xander Bogaerts, since the day he has come up and done what he's done, he is the Red Sox version
Derek
of
Jeter.
Derek Jeter. Yes,
Agreed.
he
So my question to you is, will they trade him?
with right now the Red Sox having the number 5 ranked farm system in all of Major League Baseball.
If they trade him, it's because they don't want him.
If
Obviously.
you now listen, what about if you trade him? You already know that you're dealing with Scott Boras.
Don't even go there. I don't even want to hear it. You're gonna trade him and then re-sign him.
Jackie
That's
Bradley
not
just
gonna
hit a
happen.
3-run home run, and here I am talking shit about him.
All right, it's not gonna happen, Jay. It never will happen. That's that is a pipe dream. I know what you're gonna go with. Don't even think about it.
What?
Everyone thought it would happen with John Lester, and it never happened. It will not happen here. If he is not a Red Sox, if he is traded, he will never be in a Red Sox uniform again.
Oh, I didn't say he was coming back. I don't think you're hearing me
Oh,
out here.
all right, all right.
I think because he's a Scott Boras client,
Yep.
and you've already seen the fact on knowing what the client himself wants. I already think that he's as good as gone.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because Boris is in his ear going, "Are you stupid? You don't say that. I don't care how much." Because if you really felt that, right, you'd fucking tell Scott Boris to go, "Don't
Pound
listen to my
sand.
agent. He can go
Right.
fuck himself. I'm the go. I. This is the team I want to be with, and this is the team that gets first crack at me."
I agree. I think with Scott Boras, I mean, I know Boras has a good relationship with the Red Sox, but this is Scott Boras, and I agree because I know Boras is going to say, "You're not taking less than 250 million."
Yep.
The Red Sox aren't coming at him with 250 million. So
No, I see them coming at him with about 180 million.
yep, yep,
And I see it being a $40 million a year. I see it being right around 35 million a year, and it being right around 185 to 190 if you break that down in a 4 to 5 year span. If it's
yep.
a 4 year, I see a 4 year $35 million contract with 2 options, which would really make it a 6 year deal.
Right.
And the
It's really, well, if you think about it, it's really a 4-year deal with the options. I bet you, and I
that are
would
100,
agree.
it's basically the same contract that Trevor Story just got, because 35 years, 4 years guaranteed is $140 million.
Right. So,
And
all
then
right.
you give them the 2 option years. Yeah,
One's a player and one's a team option. That's
yes,
what they do.
exactly.
50 years
And
the player option, the 6 years the team option.
if you had to, and you throw in a $15 million signing bonus or something, you know what I
Something like
mean?
that. Yep.
Just so it comes to $155 million, and he feels better and more loved than Trevor Story. But I'm an advocate right now when baseball players who are like Bogarts, who have been up in the major leagues for a very long time, there's a lot of tread on them tires, and I understand athletes train differently nowadays. They're in better shape, yada, yada, yada. Uh, I think that once you're 28 to 38, 28 to 30 range, that 4 to 6 year deal, and like with if it's 5 years with a 6 year option or a 4 year with 2 different options, I think those deals should be the common deals. I think those are owner friendly deals. And say you're somebody that's like Bogarts at 28 years old. If you do the 4 years, you get to get back on the market at 32 and being taking your 33, 34, 35, 36 year old season and quite possibly getting another strong 4 year deal. And who's to say that the money for somebody like Bogarts at that time ain't another $40 million a year deal when
Well,
shortstops might be getting paid $75 million a year?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it happens because if he really does want to be the Derek Jeter of the Boston Red Sox, then he will wind up taking less to stay.
Capelli, you and I both know, and I'm saying it right here. It's not up to what the player wants. It's up to what the agent. That's what the
I know.
agent is hired for,
I know.
is to do what is best for his client. And
And
if
what's best for
somebody,
him too, because the agent's making
yes,
money off the client.
what if Boris could go out there and get him $50 million a year on a 4-year guaranteed deal, and that's 200 million
Playing
with
at the house,
two
right?
with two player option deals. That's $300 million
And I'll tell
per.
you where that happens, my friend. It happens at the house of his favorite athlete, the New York Yankees.
Yes,
Okay, moving on. We're going to discuss. You said something to me before we went live.
that's right.
You were not happy. Let's get into, unfortunately, we'll get into the Boston Bruins. Bruins season has ended. They lost game 7, 3-2. I feel that briefly to discuss it, and I'm just going to say they were outplayed. Had nothing. Referees sucked, but at the end of the day, they were outplayed. With that said, Cam Neely came on television, had his media session, and said he is attempting to work out a deal to retain the services of one GM, Don Sweeney. Now, before you hand your opinion, I know you're not happy about it. I just
Talk,
want to
buddy.
point something out to you. I'm going to lay out a little foundation for you. The NHL is one of the most, is truly, of any sport that we have, it is the one sport where there is pure parity, that any team really has the ability to compete and make the playoffs. It really goes season to season, right? Depending on some moves that are made and such, every team has to have hit a minimum floor cap space. Their cap is really a true cap. And I will say this. I put a lot of thought in this over the last couple of weeks. I've been on a lot of Boston Bruins forums, fan pages, had a lot of conversations with fellow Bruins fans that I don't know. And I'm going to put it to you this way. You cannot deny that Bruins team in the last 6 years, 6 years ago, they had Claude Julien. They let Julien go. They bring in Bruce Cassidy. Bruce Cassidy does an admirable job that last couple of months. For 5 straight years now, the Bruins have not only finished with 100 points or more, made the playoffs all 5 years. One Stanley Cup final. Game 7, to which, unfortunately, I sat there and watched them lose, but it was a Stanley Cup final. You cannot deny the fact that Sweeney has done his job in the end. The team is competitive. The Boston Bruins are on. I know you think I'm smoking, but I'm not. The Boston Bruins have been selling out the Boston Garden. That team has been competitive. I'm not saying he's perfect.
Woo!
Tell me who in I know I follow hockey probably a little bit more than you do, like deep into hockey. There is not another.
I'll give it to you in the past 10 years. Yes, I follow on. I explain my love.
Deep, like GMs and everything.
Yeah, I
and
get you. I hear you.
There's no GM available that's going to get the Bruins to a higher level than they are right now.
I said that to you. I said that to you last week.
So, but
listen,
what do you think?
Okay, the Bruins are no different from the Bruins of the 80s because number one, they're owned by Jeremy Jacobs and the Jacobs family, which B, they own TD Bank North Garden just like they own the Boston Garden. Their only love in life, and it's been a plus that we have been able to win a Stanley Cup and go to 2 in the past 20 years, okay?
3.
Okay, we've well,
We
yes,
won one, we
one,
lost two.
and that's what I said, and we lost
Right,
two.
but we went
So
to three total. All right.
we win the
Yeah, yeah.
three total. Okay,
And
and
that's really
that's
only,
just
and Jay, that
and
that's been in the last 11 years, not
and
20, 11
yeah,
years.
within a 20-year span, because before that time, it was the days of Neely, Janney, and Vladimir Rizhishka
Yeah, but we
when
went to
they
two
went
Stanley
against
Cups
the
then.
Oilers. What?
We went to two Stanley Cups,
Yes,
88, 90.
I understand that, but and my whole thing is Jeremy Jacobs has always been known as, and you said it yourself. The NHL has a lot of parity, and in my honest opinion, I wouldn't call it parity back in the day.
There
I
was no
would
salary
call it
cap back
it
then.
was it was a smaller thing back then, and play. It seemed like almost every team made the playoffs when I was a kid, especially in the 80s and 90s.
No,
And
you think? Oh, you mean
the
all the Boston teams,
oh yes, well,
except
not
for the
even
Patriots.
that, but the no, the Bruins made the playoffs almost at least one round almost every year when
The
I was a
Bruins held the
kid.
record. They went to the playoffs 26 straight seasons.
Okay. So, because like I followed when they had Brad Park
Right,
and
right.
Rick
But
Middleton, and like
I
I met
understand. Yeah.
those dudes. I went to
No,
the
I know.
Palace to meet the Bruins.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, the night Ray Bork got his jersey when Phil Esposito got his jersey retired. My father's friend Bob Doherty took me and his two nephews. I remember sitting on the orange line while everybody's talking, going, "I'm telling you, Ray Bork's gonna pull his shirt off so he can be like fucking Lemieux and like Wayne Gretzky, and he's gonna be double sevens." And people like, "No, no, no, because Espo told him it's okay. He wants him to have the number." I'm like, "No." I was probably at the time maybe 15 or something like that when he retired his number, maybe even 14. But I mean, I lived in a huge entrenched
Oh no, no. So listen, I
Boston
get it.
Bruins
I get it.
neighborhood.
But
Uh,
we're talking
but
about.
I
Hold on.
fell out of love with them.
Okay, that's fine.
The Jacobs family has always been known that if they just sell to keep the place open, mediocrity is a great thing. And
Hold
like
on.
you
Now I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong because you gotta remember the post Ray Bork Boston Bruins, the ones that had Kevin Stevens and Cam Neely on the bench.
yeah,
They're getting benched. The Boston Garden was an empty fucking pot that they couldn't sell less than 10,000 tickets. And I'm going to tell you that the Jacobs don't. You're right about the 70s, 80s, and 90s. There was no salary cap. The
yeah.
NHL enforced the salary cap, enforced these teams to say you have to meet you have to hit the floor of the cap. And ever since the cap was put into place,
Yeah.
the Jacobs, I wouldn't say the Jacobs are, I disagree with you with the Jacobs, what you're saying with the Boston Bruins of the last 10 to 12 years. Ever since ever since the year they signed Chara and Mark Savard together, the Boston Bruins have changed their philosophy.
Yeah.
I firmly believe, I mean, I can't stand the Jacobs either, but you can't compare the Bruins of the 80s and 90s where they had no cap, they had none of that, and they were cheap motherfuckers. I still
Yeah.
remember them lowballing Ray Bork on his contracts to
Well,
the
you
point
heard about
where
the year that they traded Ray Bork, what they did for the summer vacation, right?
I know. I listen. I remember. I know everything. Trust me. I
Jeremy
know.
Jacobs, that was the first time he had ever invited the team to a cookout, and he invited them to his Florida home.
I know. I know. And I also can tell you that Jeremy Jacobs does not live in New England. He lives in Buffalo,
Yeah.
or he did. He may have probably moved
Well,
since, but at one time,
he's got a beautiful $1 million fucking mansion down in Florida, and it was right before the season opened, and they were opening against the Florida Panthers.
I know.
And I remember the Boston News, especially the Herald, was all over the
Yeah.
Bruins because a lot of the Bruins players were upset because I believe there was a couple of contracts that they wanted negotiated, and they felt it was a
Yeah.
huge rub in their face for the Jacobs family to go, look at our beautiful home, but we're not going to spend
No.
money on things.
So
But anyways,
okay.
I get what you're saying, dude.
So we're
But
talking to
to go
bring it
front
back to Donnie
office
Sweeney.
wise, yes, I think that number one, the Don Sweeney situation, because of his friendship with Cam Neely, it's just as if like Drew Bledsoe was the president of football operations with the Patriots, and Scott Zolak was the general manager, and say Hugh Millen was the head coach. They're firing Hugh's ass,
Well,
and
Bruce Cassidy
Scott's
ain't
gonna.
going nowhere.
Let's hope not, man. Because I'm just going to be honest with you. I said this to you last week. Also, that Bruce Cassidy is one of the dying breeds in the NHL. Not afraid to hold his players accountable and call them out in the media.
Right, but if you look at what he's done, and again, and I'll point back to it, I agree. But the mentality of this team is a team I feel that is one of accountability.
Yep.
Thank you, Pelly. I'll see you later, brother.
Yep,
This
Pelly.
is a
Thank you,
team
buddy.
of this is a team of accountability, and I believe many players have bought into that. I think the players that haven't bought into that are the ones that you hear now because they, and I hate the David Backuses of the world and the few people that don't like Cassidy, because I don't think they bought into that mentality of holding me accountable in the media. Maybe behind closed doors, but they didn't like being held accountable in the media. And I feel that Neely Neely is the type of guy that holds people accountable. I feel Donnie Sweeney's the kind of a guy, although much more diplomatically holds people accountable. And you're not firing a coach who's gotten your 100 points in the NHL. You should be winning your division. It's just that you have multiple teams now able to hit that 100-point plateau. That's how good the NHL has gotten talent wise. So I just think that at the end of the day, it's the right move to bring back Sweeney because really there's nothing else out there. And I'm not looking to rebuild a team. I'm looking to retool a team. I don't want to see a complete rebuild. There's still a championship opportunity here. There is still a window for a championship with what you have without having to do a rebuild. I don't want to see them turn into the Boston Bruins of the early 2000s. I don't want to see them turn into the Boston Celtics of the early 2000s and the late 90s when we kept hearing, oh, it's a rebuild year. It's going to be 3 years. It's going to be 4 years. It's going to be 3 years. I'm sorry to say, I think that's where we're going with the New England Patriots. I don't want to see that with the Boston Bruins. I don't think that's where we're going. And I'm just going to throw a little tidbit out there. You may have heard this. Supposedly, a bat symbol was sent over to Czechoslovakia to one David Krejci about a possible return for next year. Who knows? What do you think?
What did he do this year in that Swedish league that
He
he was
actually had a
in?
really good year this year. He was like, I want to say he was number 2 on his team in points, and he had a great year. And I'll say this much. I think Jake DeBrusk definitely rose his value up for trade, given how he played. He has a 2-year contract. Value was there, and there was a kid in the minor leagues. That kid Lysel I was telling you about.
Yep.
I'm telling you, this kid is the next Austin Matthews. He is phenomenal. I want to see him. He may be NHL ready by the fall.
Austin Matthews. That's a number 1 overall draft choice we're talking about right there.
Well, if you saw what this kid is doing in the minors, you'd be like, holy shit. Now, I get it. Trust me. If anybody knows, I understand that the parity when you get to the NHL level is totally different. But a lot of people are saying this kid's going to be able to make that jump like that.
What was he like? What was he a draft choice wise for the Bruins?
I believe he was their number 1 pick.
Okay. From
Yeah,
what year?
maybe
Last year?
last year's number one pick. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That'd be good if they could hit on one because I remember one year with that one year with the DeBrusque and the two others. You know,
Yep. That and again, that's where I think Sweeney's biggest flaw is his inability. It's not just Sweeney though; it is a team that does the drafting and the scouting, and I feel that that needs to be retooled. Although they did hit on Charlie McAvoy, they hit on this kid Lysel. They hit on the kid that was injured this year, and even though he's not a big point producer, the kid Zorbel, he got
yeah,
injured this year. He's a good player. That kid's a good defenseman. We us losing him really hurt us because that kid's got he's big, he hits, he's rangy, right? They made the move for Trent Frederick. I'm not sold on Frederick, but I do like him. Um, you know, he's hit on some draft picks, and he's completely missed on others, obviously.
yeah,
DeBrusque is kind of an incomplete grade for me because when he's hot, you're like, okay, you see the talent there. He probably went where he probably was supposed to go in the draft, but you definitely, unfortunately, you missed out on other guys like Matt Barzell, who played for the Islanders. Although this year Barzell had a shit season, so
yeah.
last year everyone was like, we could have had Barzell, and this year he had a shit season, so.
The Islanders in general,
Yeah, they just had a shit season this year.
and that was in a brand new arena, I
And
believe.
they fired their coach, too. Yeah, Barry Trotz got fired.
Do you think a guy like if they got rid of Cassidy? Do you think a guy like Cassidy goes to the goes over to the island?
Oh, Cassidy, listen, if the Cassidy got fired, he would be signed within days. Days. How do you not? The guy is again, he's a proven winner.
Yep.
He's proven he can win in the NHL. Of course. Look what he's done. He's gotten the best out of he's turned Brad Marchand from the rat to the rat you want in your team because the guy puts up 60 to 80 points a season.
Yep.
Right? He's gotten the best out of Patrice Bergeron. He's gotten David Pastrnak really to be what he's supposed to be. I really like what he did with Taylor Hall this year. I know people are like, oh, it was only 61 points. 60 points in the today's game of the NHL is compared to 80 to 100 points back in the 90s when we were watching it, because back then people, you had Lemieux scoring 160, you had Yaga scoring 160, you had all these players, but still, 60 to 70 points in the NHL this year that's tough. That's almost a point per game. I mean, it's only 82 game season, and so you score 61 points. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
Only a select few players are really above the 80 point mark.
I would love to see them shrink down the goalie equipment.
Nah, see, they've already done enough of that. I'd love to
see them jerseys are too out and bulky, man. Some of them
don't save a puck. Trust me. When that thing's coming at you at 100 miles per hour, it's gonna go right through your jersey.
I just think everything's too baggy. They look too big.
So, all right, wrapping this up. Did you have anything else you want to talk about on the Bruins?
I just listen. I'll find it very disappointing if they do let Bruce Cassidy go after listening to the remarks of what Cam Neely said. He says we do need to make some changes. So with that sticking in my brain, and I do listen to my I get a huge fix of the Boston Sports Talk Radio. And, when the major people are talking about that they would basically Neely has to retain his friend, and especially because there is no viable replacements out there, that they make it seem like Cassidy is the easier of the two to replace.
So I'm going to let you
in. Going with that, I don't want to see Cassidy go. I may not be a huge a Bruins fan of your magnitude, and I know I only tune in to full time the last 20 games, but I do flick in back and forth. I follow all year. My coffee mug at work, my big Yeti is a Boston Bruins Yeti that I carry all year round. I'm an all sport Boston fan. It's just playoff time after the trade deadline and things of that nature is when I tend now
Okay.
to tune into
So
hockey.
I'm going to let you in on something. So, two people I know are season ticket holders, one of which is my buddy Anthony, who I go to a lot of games with. The other
Anthony
one,
Gravio.
yes, Anthony
I
Graffio. The other
fucking
one is a friend of
I
mine who
remember bouncing Anthony around when he was a little shit, man.
Well, the other one is a friend of mine who at work, one of my vendors, both of which have very good connections with they work with the season ticket holder, the guys, the PR people, and such. I knew about and I found out about, and I used to work with a guy myself when I did when I was doing electrical work that worked for the Boston Bruins. This is how I found out about the Tyler Seguin trade before Tyler Seguin was even traded, and found out the reason why he was traded. But anyways, I will tell you this. Word has it, and you go on a good authority, Bruce Cassidy's going nowhere. His job is not even up for grabs. He is not the person they're talking about making changes with. They're talking probably more about scouting staff in personnel changes as well as player changes. But rest assured, Bruce Cassidy will be behind the bench of the Boston Bruins next year.
That's all I asked.
Okay,
I mean, I'd be very disappointed.
last thing, and I'm going to give it 5 minutes.
Schroeder was the Celtic that they traded.
Yes. 5 minutes. You brought it, wanted to talk about it? All right, let's hear it. Major League Soccer, New England Revolution. What do you got?
What do I got? I got that last year that was their best year in the league. They have the best coach. And, what type of start are they off to this year? Have you gotten to tune into any of the games this year?
I followed it a little bit. I know they're not off to the same type of start that they had last year. They're not off to the same type of season they had last year.
Yeah.
I do know that they lost one of their players to they have that, that program where they go play overseas.
Their exchange program.
I can tell you this. That's a team that is cursed right now, I think, because they used to make they have gone to that championship numerous times and never won it. Last year was their best chance, and they lost the game before the championship.
It was the first time they ever won the points trophy, or what they call the President's Trophy.
Yeah. So, I don't. You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll do some research because I should, because we have both my kids play soccer, and I coach it. I'll do some research.
I forgot I suggested the Revolution this week.
So why don't we put it off till next week?
Yeah,
we'll give it a little bit more time and kind of do a little bit of a deep dive into them.
I do know this, though. This is the one thing that maybe I'll leave it at this. So rumor has it that the new casino would love to have their own state-of-the-art stadium. Okay, meaning like a TD Bank North Garden. But what if they could build like what the Los Angeles Chargers played in out in Carson, like a 20,000 seat soccer stadium with an asphyxiated roof that they would be able to do UFC style events or things of that nature that they would be looking to host.
So I'll tell you right now,
because I believe in order for the Revolution, that's the one thing that I know that Bruce Arenas, when he first negotiated his deal here in New England with the Crafts, that they have upgraded the soccer facilities, which they got one of the most beautiful soccer facilities in all the MLS. It's Premier League grade. They have great.
Facility, yes. The field, no.
Yes.
They'll tell you that the field is the worst field to play on.
Yes, he hates it. But part of the negotiations was Robert Kraft had promised at a point that there would be a soccer only facilitated field. I believe I believe Bruce is going into his third year. Do you
He is.
think in order for the Revolution to say become do you think the Revolution, if they were able to move the team downtown in a 25 to 30,000 seat venue with a partial closed roof, do you think that it would be better for the MLS team?
Okay. I'm gonna take my homework for next week because I'm gonna do some research on this. I'm gonna give you my opinion right now, but then I'm gonna do some research because I am privy. I've heard some rumblings down here about what you brought up, and I'd like to have some more hard evidence, a hard data on it, so we could share it on it. But I will say this much: yes, I agree. I think, and it's not the first time that has been discussed because they were talking about building a stadium in Southie, a stadium in South Boston, a stadium in Somerville, a stadium on the Mystic River at one time. I even saw the plans for the company that was designed it to build a 30,000 seat stadium near the Mystic River on right where Assembly Row is.
Yep.
I will tell you this. Yes, I do think it'd be more beneficial for the game of soccer and the MLS to be closer to Boston. And I'm going to leave it at that because I'm going to do some homework and we'll talk about that next week about potentially what I've heard about Encore building a stadium. I have heard
Yeah.
some rumblings and I'm going to get some data for next week to share.
The one reason that it was brought up too is that if you notice, who's Encore's official team? I'm wearing it.
Oh,
The
yeah, that's right.
Boston
But you have to understand,
Celtics.
agreed, but you have to remember one thing: who owns the New England Revolution?
Oh, Robert Kraft.
Okay, Robert Kraft has nothing to do with Encore, so it would have. That's why we'd have to look into it. But
Yep.
again, I'll do some research and I'll have that ready for you next week.
I'm just saying they put up the
Yep.
stadium and
Oh, I think
and they say to Kraft, we want the allure of having your team here.
yeah, I
You
agree.
know what I
I'm with
mean?
you. I think it'd be the right move.
I think that, and then that way Kraft doesn't have to build his own soccer style venue on the same facility because
Yep.
that's essentially what, in order for the Revolution, he has to find. He's going to have to utilize property up there. And what's a better investment? Adding to his shopping malls that he's got up there, or putting in a 30,000 seat soccer stadium that realistically, what is it going to get used for? Would you rather play the World Cup inside a 70,000 seat stadium when they put grass overlay down anyways over the turf because you can't play World Cup action on artificial surface? So what they do,
that is incorrect, my friend. That has
uh,
changed.
that's
Almost
changed.
all World Cup stadiums now are turf.
Really?
Yes. Well, and
I
I'll
hate
get into
that.
that next week. Yeah. Most soccer is played on turf, not grass.
That's horrible. What's
So,
this world becoming?
but that's it. What do you think, brother? Wrap it up.
Oh, I'm thinking we're looking good for episode 3. We talked a lot.
like
We
it.
got into a lot. But
You
I
got
mean,
your
what
homework,
I
I
what
got
I
my
meant
homework.
before I mind farted, the Boston's it had come up that they would like to put, because I listened to Boston Sports Talk Radio. 2 of the proposals, from what I heard, one was a soccer style enclosed stadium, but the first preferred was having a
An arena.
17,000
Yes, I know.
seat arena,
Yep, I
and
know.
it would probably be beneficial for the Boston Celtics to, at this time, have their own building. Could you
Yep.
picture the Boston Celtics moving off of Causeway Street? We'll get into that
Next
and
week.
much, much more next week as Rumble and
The Gazoo.
talk from the nosebleed cheap seats.
Way up in section 328.
Rosie, seat 6 and 7.
That's it.
Hey,
And
at
I'm
least we
sitting
got
in
the
7th.
spirit, the banners. You know what I mean?
That's
Because we talk sports better than you. We'll see you next week. Thank you to everybody out in Twitch, out in YouTube, out in
Spotify.
Facebook. Coming soon to Spotify and many other streaming and podcast networks. Thank you. We'll see you all
Thank you.
next week. This is Rumble, and
The Gazoo.
we'll see you all next week, baby.